Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to MCP's first Cyber Chat. My name's Mike Beagles. I'm going to cover several updates in the cybersecurity world that I think are interesting to our clients and our colleagues in the public sector. So let's get right to it. So the first thing I want to cover with you guys is just some latest threats. And this is a big one, ransomware. We're going to cover a lot of ransomware today. There were at least 2 major ransomware gangs that have been reported using some new vulnerabilities in the VMware ESXi product. Now, I know a lot of you out there are probably using VMware ESXi in your environments. That is a virtual solution that allows you to run virtual machines in your environment. Now, there's some bugs that these ransomware guys have been able to exploit. There are patches, there are workarounds, but both of these bugs impact what's called the service location protocol, and that's used by VMware to discover other devices in the VMware stack. Now, these vulnerabilities do allow an attacker to basically, while they're on the same network, send malicious SLP requests to an ESXi hypervisor and take control of it. And at that point, if they've not already managed to compromise other things, they can just start encrypting those VMware instances directly. So this is a different type of VMware. It's not super prevalent, but it's definitely been noticed by a lot of the authorities that are out there. And they're starting to notify folks that, hey, reports of these attacks are continuing to be documented, so it is something to look out for. What else is going on? Let's talk about telephony, denial of service attacks. The FBI recently put out a list of recommendations and an alert on TDOS attacks. They have seen a little bit of an uptick in this older but still very effective tactic in getting some disruption on these really important phone systems at the 911 centers and PSAPs around the country. So, you know, the FBI did publish this warning a couple of weeks ago as an IC3 public service announcement. And, you know, the emergency services have been targeted in the past by these TDOS attacks. They basically have started as multi-pronged attacks. It could be manual, it could be automatic. And in that warning from the FBI, they're basically saying that these malicious actors are doing this to basically just cause a general disruption. And what's really concerning about this is that out on the dark web, there are TDOS services and tools that are allowing attackers with varying levels of experience, with potentially lower skill levels, have access to tools to launch these attacks. So this is a big deal. This is something that everyone needs to be aware of. TDOS attacks are challenging to detect, makes it pretty hard to determine what's a malicious call versus a legitimate call, and it can definitely overwhelm a call system. So what do? Well, the FBI is recommending that if you have non-emergency contact numbers for fire, rescue, and law enforcement, make sure those are readily available and those are disseminated throughout the community in the event of an outage. Also, make sure your social media is up to date. Have those ready to go for emergency responders in your area so the community can be aware of any type of situation that might hit. Some other threats to be aware of. What's happening? A little bit different on this threat that I picked out. This one is called Trickbot. And this is actually a malware that's actively spreading via spear phishing campaigns. Now, those of you not familiar with what spear phishing is a very specific email attack that is going after maybe even an actual person or a specific department. And these attacks target those entities. And then what's happening is if they get them lured into that phishing, they launch modular attacks. It's multi-stage. So now this Trickbot malware is not just sending itself to you, it's sending a bunch of other ones, things like Ryu, Conti, and Emotet. These are downloaders. These are Trojan viruses that are going to go out there and try and steal data. Now, since January, this Trojan has been active. It's been spreading to multiple agencies around the world. Last October, Microsoft and a couple of the other cybersecurity companies out there were able to start pounding down on Trickbot and what it was doing. But recently, they've evolved, and that global threat has increased. So in conclusion on this one, Despite that takedown attempt by Microsoft last year, they've got new tactics. There's new tricks up their sleeve. Guys just need to be aware about those phishing type emails. Now, on some good news, actually, a ransomware game called Netwalker has been taken down. Now, Netwalker, for those of you that may not be aware, is a very successful, or was a very successful ransomware gang that was estimated to have earned in the neighborhood of $46 million in ransom payments since their attacks began. And their attacks began way back in 2019. And I say way back because obviously we've all been cooped up for a while. In any case, they were most active during the pandemic, during mid-2020. And their average ransom payment grew from $18,000 up to $65,000. These guys were making a ton of money and were attracting all kinds of attention from lots of government agencies across the world. Now, the good news is the arrests were made. They were taken down on earlier in February. Arrests were made. The Justice Department was working in conjunction with the Bulgarian government, and they took down and seized all the servers used to support this ransomware gang. They also seized a lot of cryptocurrency that was used as ransomware payments. That's a good thumbs up. That's something that we do want to see. These guys are being caught, they're being charged, and they're being held accountable, and that's one less ransomware gang that is out there on the web. Now, let's talk a little bit about what some of the trends are. I gave you guys some ideas of what the recent threats have been, but what are some of the trends? Well, unfortunately, ransomware is still a big problem, and now there's been an uptick in double extortion ransomware. Now, according to a report from a company called F-Secure, it was revealed that last year, double extortion ransomware attacks increased drastically. Now, this is a tactic that basically the attacker not only encrypts your files like a normal ransomware attack would, but they also steal the data and potentially post it onto online forums. And that pressures and gives them leverage to pressure their victims into paying the ransom. That's double extortion. So basically this uptick has seen that in the last year, there's been about 15 different variants going out there. And Maze was the first one that was actually out there. That came out in late 2019. But some of the other, they all got funny names, guys. Conti, you heard me say earlier, there's one called Cha-Cha. These were all basically new variants that have been seen in the wild here in 2021. How did they get in? Well, again, we're looking at different types of vulnerabilities. The most popular is still email. So we definitely have to make sure that we're paying attention there. So what else is going on in trends? Well, one of the things I was going to share with you guys was an actual incident. Now, this is unfortunate, and we don't like to name names, but basically there is a county that was hit late last year with ransomware. And unfortunately, it did suffer a double extortion type of attack. So what happened was the attacker sent their ransom note asking for about $2.4 million. Well, the local entity refused to pay this amount, and as such, their attacks intensified. The cyber attack shut down most of the functions in the local area. It cut off public access to some services. Data was stolen from critical systems, and it was then released. Sensitive files were released online, and this was all used as leverage to try and get them to pay the ransom. In short, this is just a reminder that not only is that boom happening, but we've already seen it in the wild as late as last year. Now, one of the things that we should all be aware of, and this is another tale of good news, is that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, that's a mouthful, CISA, is planning to activate some new powers that are going to start here in the next month or so. Now, this is a new authority that's been granted to CISA under new legislation, and basically what this is going to allow them to do is push ISPs to provide the identity of their clients so that those officials can warn about vulnerabilities in the system. This is an important new authority. It could be viewed negatively in some aspects, but it really is good on the surface. This is something that we're going to have in order for some of our more prevalent cyber attacks that come through. For example, we actually see some water facility treatment plants are being targeted where they can actually change the pH levels in the community's water, which could have a ginormous effect on that community. So this type of information is going to be, or this type of authority is going to be very important for CISA to be able to organize and use going into the future. Well, that's it for today. I did want to share one cyber reminder with you guys. As you heard through all the ransomware pieces that are out there today and how they are getting access into these systems and how they're spreading, you have to make sure that you do have a cybersecurity training plan that gives personnel a refresher on the threats that are out there today, what to look for in those phishing attacks, and what could be looming in their email inbox. Super important that everyone realizes that this is something that is ongoing. You have to make sure that you're training your team on this. This will help them to identify, what's in front of them before it could potentially cause all kinds of operational distractions. Now, I appreciate your time hanging out with me today and watching this video. I hope you found this informative and helpful. You can always contact us on our website, www.missioncriticalpartners.com. And while you're there, sign up for our cyber advisories that you can get via email. That's it for this month. Everyone stay cyber safe.
Mission Critical Partners is a professional services and IT services firm that helps clients evolve their public safety systems and operations and improve emergency response through our extensive experience, knowledge, and resources. By providing insight and support every step of the way, our clients are able to transform their mission-critical operations, maximize the value of their investments, and ensure optimal performance and success. Learn more by visiting missioncriticalpartners.com.